পুরোটা মানে থেকে বারবার ছোট বড় করতে হবে, হ্যাঁ থেকে বারবার ছোট বড় করতে হবে কেন?
Okay, so very good morning to all of you. I request you all of you to settle down. So I can understand that yesterday we had a few hiccups along the way. We had slight disruptions in the electric supply and then in the telecasting of the live streaming. Hopefully today we will not be running into the same obstacles. Now the point I was asking everyone to come to the auditorium, because as the general population of the student is declining, thinning, you should realize at the same time that all these programs have been specifically designed for you. So if you are a student of, say, computer science engineering, it does not deem fit that you would not listen to the talks of the other department. Why? Because on the whole, at large, this concerns you as well. Now tell me one thing, am I audible at the last year's, last rows? Not audible? What are the questions? Do you come and sit in the front? There are like seats available in the front. Ashina, okay, fine. So I'll try to be louder, and if that doesn't work, I have no other way. But how many of you have gone through today's schedule? Okay. Oh, that's not even like 1% of the total population. Okay, so today's schedule, there are like 4 talks, if I'm not wrong. I'm going to be your host for today. There is going to be 4 talks. 2 is from the Department of Juridical Sciences. 1 is socio-cultural awareness and legal aids. This would give you an idea as to how, if you are facing any wrong, injustice in the world, both internal and external, that is within the spheres, within the buildings of JIS University and beyond the buildings of JIS University, how do we address that? Is it relevant, right? It is relevant because all of us at every level, we face some injustice or the other. So it is better to have an awareness, a consciousness that even if we are facing something wrong, we can challenge it and we can turn the stream around just by addressing the problem in the righteous way. The second is about constitutional rights. Once again, the second is about constitutional right, once again from the Department of Juridical Sciences, and it would equip you with the knowledge of what the rights are guaranteed to you by the Constitution of India. Now, what are rights, if I ask you? What are rights? Do you have any idea? No idea? Then this should definitely be told to each and every one of you, so that you are aware of what your rights are and how would you define your rights. The third is, this is particularly specific to computer science engineering, but all of us in the present day scenario are very interested in it. This is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, how many of you have heard about artificial intelligence? Okay. See, now this achieves relevance. So artificial intelligence, like, people will be more overjoyed if I mention the words like ChatGPT and all. Now, how many of you are using ChatGPT? Wow. See, you are not aware of your rights. You are not aware of how would you define rights. But as the next generation of our country, you are aware of what ChatGPT is and how you can use ChatGPT, and you're already using it. Anyways, so that's good in a way. That's very good that we are imbibing newer technologies into our lives. And the last is then a workshop on communication, which will be taken by me. The speech will be delivered by me. So these are the 4 speeches or lectures that are scheduled for today. Bear with us. I hope and I pray that there will be no hiccups along the way. students who are sitting here as well as students who are sitting in their respective classrooms of the departments, they should watch the program, they should stay attuned to the program because this is going to help you at large. Thank you. So, how are you feeling at JIS University? Are you being able to make friends? Yes, that I can see. Because you have made your friends and then you have gone to your classrooms and you're not interested in the program anymore. So that's just a welcome sign, but not so welcome in the context of the induction program. And I hope like some departments have like started off with their classes, others have not. So all the departments will start their classes in due course of time. What I'm requesting you again and again is that like do watch this or listen to these speeches because this will become important in the context of your academic life as well. So for like all of you who are listening to the rules and regulation of the university examination, I'm sure like 50 to 60% of the students did not even understand what was being said at that point of time. But that becomes very important because you need to appear in examination, you need to score a certain percentage of marks because you need to graduate at the end of the day. I hope all of you enjoyed the session by the training and placement cell of JIS University yesterday. Yes, so that is another very important aspect of your lives because after 4 years, 3 years, whatever years you choose to stay here, one of the most important thing is securing a job for you. Either if you're not graduating into some higher stream of studies, you'll be securing a job for yourself. Now, how many of you are interested for jobs at the end of your courses? Oh. For a moment, I thought I was standing in Ramakrishna Mission because you do not need material riches. All of you need spiritual riches. Okay, I guess, yes, you can like, take your hand down. I know I'll try and talk to the placement cell to get you a job. So, spiritual riches, material riches, everything is very important. But anything at large, a job is very important. So, my advice to you at the basic outset would be try and fix a destination for yourself and start working towards it. Be it a job, be it a higher degree, be it like any other dream. Suppose you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to start your new business, you want to make something under the Make in India policy. So whatever it is, you should fix your destination first and then start working towards it because one thing you can be certain about is that there will be failures. Failures will come along the way. Failures are characteristics of the path, but success lies in getting up one more time than you fall. So no matter whatever obstacles you face, hardships you face, one thing you need to understand or ensure in your lives, which we try to do in our lives, is that no matter what happens, no matter what hurdles you're facing, you need to speak through to your destination. So the first speech today, once again, is by the Dean, School of Juridical Sciences and Management Studies. It is by Dr. Rakesh Kumar Dubey. He will be enlightening you and all of us about the socio-cultural awareness and legal aids. And judging by the scenario that none of you know what rights is and what rights you enjoy in the country, which, how many of you know that there's a constitution in this country? Okay. How many of you have the preamble by heart? You know that you have a preamble by heart. Wow, great. Oh, you also. Okay. Like I'm very relieved that none of you here are students of juridical sciences. Had there been students of juridical sciences and they did not know that there were like constitutional rights, it would have been a great debacle. Now we are very glad and honored to have Rakesh sir among us. We are all ready for you, sir. I've been like prepping them up for your speech. If you can kindly come to the podium and deliver a speech and enlighten us all about these socio-cultural scenarios and the legal aids that aid in the socio-cultural awareness. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Please.
Thanks a lot, Professor Indranil sir, and a very warm good morning to all of you, my dear students sitting here over in this auditorium. Hopefully, it is a mix or only juridical science students? Mix, okay. So, I will not be very technical, I will be speaking very general. And this is very important because if it is very technical, so it will be boring for others. So I will be on a very flat basis. I am going to speak some little components, and otherwise some technical people will come who will be just talk about the socio-cultural and economic status, and of course the legal aid, which is very necessary to understand why it is important and how it is important. But before we just delve into this area, we need to understand that we all are citizens of India, isn't it? That is very important. Whatever area you come from, not only uh, the demographics that only not I am talking, but otherwise your interest area also. So whether you are from any other streams like science, arts, or commerce, or any very advanced studies that you are interested in. Also, from the society that you come from, your parents, your cultural aspects that you practice, and that can in your clan and community and society where you reside, or the social setups or social system that you have been growing since your childhood till date, till this age. So, this socio-cultural and economic, first we need to understand what is this. The socio-economic, first let us discuss. So socio-economic is actually, it may be a kind of a comparison uh, of one individual from others, about his opportunities, about his educational backgrounds, about his experiences, about his opportunities over the resources that he is having access to, whether it is locally available or nationally available, whether it opportunities for employment, everything will be encompassed in this process. If we speak about society, socio, and economic status, socio-economic. So economic means it could be a matter of a comparison that one individual who is a citizen of India is not having that high level of access over the resources, just comparing to another. Like for example, if we just discuss about the 140 crores of people residing on this land, we will just find that only 5% are super rich people who are just industrialists, and they, and that grade it may be like Ambani, Adani, Kirloskars, Tatas, Birlas, so many others. So, but then in entire 140 crores of big chunk, you will find these kind of super duper rich people are only having, the percentage would be varying from 4 to 6% or 5 to 6%. And then you will find that there are multiple business doers apart from this exclusively rich. There are multiple business doers who are also very rich in comparison to the general society, general people of the society, because they are industrialists and they are just lending the hands for development of the nation. They are just employment generators. They are just uh, dealing in either services or goods of some kind of commodities which are being used by other, residents of the land, or sometimes they are involved in exporting of the same for maximizing their wealth and all. So that is also we can just see the category would be coming around 40% near about, from 5 to 6%. Then after it may be reaching to 35 to 40%. Then it comes the majority of the chunk is like the bigger chunk is middle class, which can further be categorized into upper middle class, then middle class, and of course lower middle class, and finally the BPL category, that is the lower, below poverty line kind of, who are just, for them government of India is also always having some plans of subsidies, like ration cards would be available, like many other things are, facilities are provided, free medical, like Ayushman Bharat Pariyojana kind of things, where medical benefits are being provided. So many helps are being given, isn't it? So that is again another class of society. So overall, the scenario that we can see is like the society has been segregated. And this segregation is also on the basis of what? Economic background. So this society is properly segregated because of the various kinds of, you know, experience, knowledge, uh, power and positions that people hold in the society, isn't it? So because of all these, segregations are properly, it is, we assume, we see that, we observe that, isn't it? But the point is, and apart from that, there is one another aspect, that is culture. Culture is in the same society, it is a belief system. It is the practices that you do. Maybe, and these belief systems are very much based on the kind of practices. It may be related to the languages that you speak. We are here in Kolkata. We are here in Bengal. But think about Tamilians, think about Malayalis, think about Kannadas or Marathis or Kashmiris. All are having different vernaculars, and they are very rich with their vernaculars. They are very candid and confident while they speak their own language, their mother tongue. And likewise, it is not only the languages and the difference of the same Indian society based on this variations of language. At the same time, the fooding habit, the practices that they do, the religious periphery that they are enjoying in, so many variations. So India itself is a very rich and diverse society. When we speak about India, it is it is varieties of societies which is clubbed together. And that's why when we speak about India, we never speak that only single kind of people should reside. Rather, we always speak, and it has been provided in Indian Constitution also. The Indian Constitution speaks that all Indians are our brothers and sisters. All Indians are having all facilities of legal rights. All Indians are having all opportunities, equal opportunity. There is fundamental rights in India, which is providing all opportunities of legal processes, where every individual, despite of caste, creed, variation in culture, all are provided with equal opportunities, isn't it? So if we speak about fundamental rights, there is Article 19, which gives the privilege to speech and expression. that you are having rights to, you know, be very expressive, whatever you feel, isn't it? Whatever you are having opinion, you may differ, your opinion may be with all differences. It is not that any one party system is there in this huge, you know, democracy of the world's largest democracy. So any one political party will come and rule over, so every various, you know, entities and identities and individuals will again follow each and every uh, stated statements of the same party. It is never like that. You are having the right to disagree. So the point is, disagreement is also enjoyed in this land. The point is, this diversity is also enjoyed, it is celebrated. India is diverse country, and diversity is a matter of celebration in Indian land. That's why it is just like a big garden where varieties of flowers are there, and each and every flower is just unique in itself, and it is having its own respect, and we have to do that. And similarly, if we do, definitely we'll get the, in reciprocation, we'll get the respect back. So this is all about the socio-economic and cultural aspect of India, where you all are fresh bloods, the most energetic stakeholders of the nation, the future of the nation. Definitely, you are going to contribute in a great way tomorrow when you will become the demographic dividends of this land, contributing in the development of the society. And for that only, this university is not only, the universities are just a laboratory where young bloods like you people are reshaped to be made one of the finest citizens, understanding even the legal aspect that we are talking about, uh, which is very necessary to understand, irrespective of your uh, various backgrounds that you hail from, isn't it? Now, just giving a little point about legal aid, what it is, why legal aid, why we are here to discuss early in this fresh morning about legal aid. So, legal aid, right now, as I told, it is just a constitution, which is the thumb rule for every, you know, rules and regulations for providing the facilities for each and every individual on this land. And also, I just talked about there are fundamental rights which are being provided to each and every individual on this land. So we need to understand that. Have you all seen there is a statue which is having her eyes are being tied with a small piece of cloth? Why it is? What it is the significance? Some of may speak that, yeah, please speak. Huh? Very correct, very correct. Basically, it is not that law is blind. Some may come up with this assumption that law is blind, it can't see because her eyes are being tied with some piece of cloth. But actually, it is not. It is the bigger opinion and bigger philosophy is this, that the lady with the statue, which is having her eyes closed with the piece of cloth, it is only that the law should not get biased. The law should not get influenced, on the other hand. Uh, the law should not give some extra facilities to somebody else. That is a sense. Why again? Because I talked about cultural variation, economic variation of the society of them. Because I initiated with that this country, 5% of people are super rich, and there are people who are below poverty line, who are just depending on the help extended by the government, who are residing on this land with subsidies. They are not sometimes having 2 square of meals, but it is only law which is uniform to everybody. And sometimes it is a matter of rights to each and every individual, whether he is a beggar or it is a Mukesh Ambani. Sometimes it is very much spoken that law is never just for the poor people. But whatever, it is a matter of practice that when we teach our legal students here, generally at the end we say that you have to take an oath that you have to serve the nation and in best possible way, and never get influenced, and always try to do the best for the correct people, right, for not for wrong. So the point is, it is a legal right, it is a law which is equal for everybody, and law is always speaking that there is justice for each and every individual, every citizen of the world, of the land, and of course of the world. So in that context, if we speak, so it is not that the rich will purchase the justice, purchase the verdict, and poor will be uh, harassed. So in this connection, we need to understand and we need to get aware about the law, irrespective of your fields. Maybe you may be from the Department of Pharmacy, maybe from the Department of Physics, Chemistry, Biotechnology, Earth Sciences, law or management, whatever aspect of life. But important is you are a citizen and upcoming future of the nation. You must know about awareness about laws. And not only this, it's also your moral responsibility to be a youth citizen of the nation, to make aware the society. You just spread, once you learn any legal rights which are for the citizens, it become even bigger responsibility for you to spread all those legalities in the society, aware the society, so that those poor people who are illiterate, those poor people who don't know about their justice, those people who don't know about their fundamental rights, those people who are downtrodden, those people who are residing in countryside in some villages, those people who are sometimes very much in fear that what will happen, what will be the future of myself, my family, my little kids. So make them aware that there is a law which is equal for each and every one in India, and you are also having all rights for yourselves. And especially when we speak about juridical science students, the responsibility is even bigger on their shoulders, because they are going to become the practicing lawyers someday in future. So they have to just take care of all the legal aspects in the society. And for this, I think more technical speech will be there from another speaker, followed by me. Dr. Shavik is sitting here over. So with this, I'm just concluding my words. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for that enlightening speech. One thing which sir has rightly pointed out, that India as a nation has always been challenged along the lines of diversity. There were other foreign powers who had at one point of time proclaimed that they can break the very fabric of India because we are so diverse. But in the waves of time, in the sands of time, we have proven to the external world time and again that our diversity is our unity. And this unity is at once guaranteed, preserved, advocated through the proper use of law. So along the same lines, our next speaker is Dr. Shobhit Chatterjee, Head of the Department, Juridical Sciences. He will be speaking on constitutional rights. So please give a big round of applause for sir. He's going to speak to you now.
A very good morning to all of you. The fact that you will find that in big respective shows, once an eminent speaker leaves the screen, उसके बाद बाकी जो लोग आते हैं ना उनके लिए बोलने के लिए कुछ रहता नहीं. Same is the case as far as our respected dean sir is concerned. Professor Rakesh Kumar Dhardue sir, he has the gift of the gap. The fact is, whenever he speaks, everybody spellbound manner they basically listen to him. Whatever. both of us are part of the same department, and beyond that, we are all part of the same JIS big family. All of you are welcome once more, and it's a great to see students from different departments, both sciences, management, law, education, and all. Okay, today what I thought of, as I have been asked to speak about the constitutional law on very first day itself. I mean, I don't want to what to say, pressurize you all and make the entire lecture very verbose. I have few slides to show so that you can actually understand the basic constitutional rights that are there. Because if you have the rights, it is expected that at least you understand those rights are there with you, and if infringed, where to actually go. So if you can go ahead, the next slide. In terms of the principles, I have just taken up one or two respective articles to speak about. Oh, this is even better. The first is this Article 14. Sir has talked about unity amongst diversity. So this is the first slide which says that Article 14, it says the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. Meaning that in every respective so-called opportunity and in every respective question of the right that you can exercise in a court of law, there cannot be any diversity. A poor person can get the same amount of justice. A rich person will have the same amount of justice. It can be whoever, whatever may be the portfolio. In the entire country, everyone is equal. And there are, different so-called case judgments where sorry about it. There are multiple case judgments where whenever the right to equality has been questioned, the entire law had to be changed. I can give one single example. There was a case Joseph Shine versus the state, very recent case on Supreme Court. What they have done is they have just taken away adultery as an offense. Previously, the law that was there, in IPC section 497 was there with adultery, and the entire offense was only with respect to the adulterer, and whoever was the abettor who was part of that adultery, there was no punishment for them. So just because there was lack of equality and Article 14 was infringed, that entire particular provision of IPC had to be decriminalized. I'll just given one example. Next slide. It was held by the court that I think there is a slide before that. Yes. Here is this case, Air India versus Nagesh Mirza. This is a 1982 case. Here, the regulations, basically provide that an air hostess, will retire from the service upon attaining the age of 35 years or on marriage within 4 years of service or first pregnancy, whoever found earlier. But Regulation 47 of the Regulation Act basically, deals with that particular provision, and whoever basically joins the job has to adhere to that. Now the next slide. Yes. Now it was held by the court that the air hostess on the ground of pregnancy was, to stop the employment based on pregnancy that was unreasonable and arbitrary, and it was a violation of Article 14. I've just given one example. There are plethora of cases. Next slide. Coming down to the next provision. Yes. Here is Article 21. This is the other one, that is right to life. One of the most important provisions of the Indian Constitution, and it says every citizen of India has the right to life under Article 21. I have just given one single case over there, Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus Union of India, that is 1984 case as such. Here, this is a case where a public interest litigation under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution was in question. The appeal was filed directly in the Supreme Court of India to take steps to end child labor in Uttar Pradesh. That you can understand, the child labor in any particular place itself is not accepted. Because of the state of Bihar, many children get kidnapped and experience child abuse who are working in the factories in Bihar. All the children are 14 years of age and or less than 14 years. Now the judgment that was given was, during the hearing, court has discussed the protection of the child rights to education and to health, development in ensuring progress of the democracy. The court recognize the child labor cannot be abolished, but we can bring some of the changes in the child labor. Especially what had happened was working in the hazardous industries had been seriously prohibited. Like you can understand that different types of arms making industry, children cannot be employed over there. Next slide. Here is the preamble. This is the language that has been given in the Indian Constitution. I come to that, later. Sometimes people start with this. It says, "We, the people of India, who had created the Constitution, we ourselves, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic." Every single language term has a meaning. Sovereign means that India is supreme. No country in the world can have anything to do in the context of Indian, legislation or creation of any particular law. Socialist basically means that in the context of economy, the state will try to strive to see that everyone over there are at the same level in the context of at least per capita income, so that there is not huge amount of gap between the very rich and the very poor. Secular means that India does not have a religion of its own. All the different voting rights of franchise. And then republic. There is no king or queen who is actually ruling the country, basically. And now comes, these are the mottos: justice, social, economic, and political. That means unless there is justice in every form, it's not only the courts which can give justice. For example, a teacher who is teaching you also should do justice in terms of giving us the best possible education to every one of you. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Liberty has everything to do with freedom, right? Unless you have freedom, you cannot express yourself. Equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among all. Equality, I already talked about Article 14, and wherever equality is infringed, it is unconstitutional. Fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Fraternity means, it's a kind of brotherly feeling. As we have talked about, unity and diversity, it basically shows that there are people from different streams over here. But in JIS University, we are a complete family. We all of us want to work together, do well together. Next slide. Now there are two things you have to basically understand. One is the question of directive principles of state policy. This is basically the objective, what the state wants to actually achieve. Here it is mentioned that it is not enforceable in a court of law. It is the objective. Now, they were not made non-justifiable, considering that the state may not have enough resources to implement all of them. It consists of all the ideas which the state should follow and keep in mind while formulating policies and enacting laws for the country. They are like a collection of instructions and directions, and it constitutes a very comprehensive economic, social, and political guidelines or principles. Next part. Yeah. Here is the last lot of things, that is the context of fundamental rights. This is something which every one of you should know, because if these are infringed, you have the right in terms of exercising your right in a court of law. Here starts with, again, same question of equality, right to equality, Article 14 to 18. You might question that there are certain reservations in the country based on scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other backward tribes. That is justified because these reasonable restrictions are being created based on the fact that they don't have that amount of representation in society. Second is the right to freedom, Article 19 to 22. Freedom over there, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. That means if you cannot speak whatever is there in your mind, you are not in a position to actually make a difference in the state, in the context of whichever field you are working on. Next is right against exploitation. If you are exploited, that's generally, it is generally very, very dangerous in the context of the fact that everyone basically work for, wealth, but in whichever system you work, there has to be a balance in respect of, adjudicating your rights also. Right to freedom of religion. Amongst the different freedoms, this is one of the most serious freedom as such, Article 25 to 28. You might be a Christian, you might be a Muslim, you might be a Buddhist, you might be, Parsi, you might be a Hindu, which is the majority are Hindus. You have the so-called freedom in terms of propagating your religion in whatever manner possible. And amongst the existing religions also, Shias have their different regulations than the Sunnis. They can propagate in whatever manner they want to. Cultural and educational rights are there, Article 29 to 30, and right to constitutional remedies. This is very, very important. I have mentioned only Article 32 because it's there under the fundamental rights. If infringed, you can either knock the doors of the High Court or knock the doors of the Supreme Court. Article 32 allows you to knock the doors of the Supreme Court, whereas Article 226, I have not got into that details, allows you to knock the doors of the High Court. Meaning that, if there is habeas corpus or mandamus or certiorari prohibition, I am not going into details because it might, sound very, very technical. That's it, yeah. So, that is, the general part of it. I tried to make it non-complex as such. But having said that, there are 2-3 things to actually mention. That is, India basically had created their constitution by taking the better part of the constitutional values of the best nations all over the world. That means from Ireland to United States to France to a number of countries, India basically had taken it. The other question is about the constitutional law is that whichever legislation India creates, if any of those laws they basically go against the constitution, then that particular law has to be altogether abolished, because that will be considered to be ultra vires. I can give one example. The TADA Act that was there to actually stop terrorist activities. Now that particular act basically had a provision which said that in case anybody is caught, they never could be tried in a court of law. They could not get a right of defense or right of hearing, and yet they could be arrested because they are terrorists. Now that basically just went against the right of free hearing and natural justice, and for that reason that was altogether abolished. So you have to keep in mind that any law in India cannot be unconstitutional. It has to be constitutional. And regarding your rights, unless you have the rights, you cannot basically go and defend the so-called right in any particular court of law. It might be any particular right. I can give one simple example. A police officer comes to your house, and the police officer comes without a warrant. You can definitely question the fact that why on earth you have to go to the police station when they themselves don't have the so-called warrant with them. So, I have just given few examples. Obviously, my slides are with them, and I am there in the university in case students they require further, further explanation. I am very much there to actually help your cause out. By the way, does anybody has any questions? I just went on speaking. Yes, go ahead.
Sir,
Yes.
do you think the law is woman biased a little?
The law is
Woman biased a little?
biased towards women. Okay, please sit. There is a good question. In the sense that I don't have a direct answer to that, but I'm trying to actually answer in the context of the perceptions that are there. Meaning that I have just talked about this directive principles of state policy. Now, what is expected is that just few minutes back I said that certain particular groups they are given privilege. For example, I just mentioned about the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, the other backward class who did not get that amount of representation in the working field or the education field. They are given some help. Regarding women, the fact is certain so-called legislations are a bit tilted towards women. The reasons are that if you can, there is no point actually thinking from the point of view or perspective of an urbanized city like Calcutta or Bengaluru or Delhi. If you go down to the villages, in many of the places you will find that the women they are not economically they are independent. That backdrop, if they themselves after marriage go to another particular family and then they are pressurized, the law has to basically help their cause so that the grievances that are there against them they can actually express. One of the examples I'll give you is that Now, section 113A and 113B, it says if a wife after a marriage, within 7 years of the marriage, is subjected to systematic ill treatment, in that case, after that, and there is demand of dowry, মানে ঘন ঘন পণ চাওয়া হয় যদি তার এগেইনস্টে, কখনো কেউ ফ্রিজ চাইছে, কখনো রেফ্রিজারেটর চাইছে, তার বাবা মা পাগল হয়ে যাচ্ছে দিতে দিতে, thereafter if finally the girl commits suicide, then the court shall presume that the husband and the in-laws, they are responsible for that act. কারণ দিনের পর দিন এই জিনিস চাইলে পরে মানে there is a kind of a mental and physical agony on the part of the women. এবার কেউ হয়তো প্রশ্ন করতে পারে যে মানসিক নির্যাতন বা এগুলো যদি মেয়েদের ক্ষেত্রে হয়, মেয়েরা কি পাল্টা হাজবেন্ডের নির্যাতন করে না? হতে পারে, উত্তর আছে, মানে আমি অস্বীকার করছি না, দেয়ার মাইট বি আ কেস। আর এরকম অদ্ভুত কেস আছে, শুনলে একটু মজা লাগবে, মানে আমি জানি না সবার হয়তো খুবই ইন্টারেস্টিং নাও লাগতে পারে। ইস্যু হচ্ছে যে আমি when I started practice in Alipur court at that time, South 24 Pargana, I was practicing in one of the AUG courts of Ashok Kumar Banerjee, the judge. একটা রেসপেক্টিভ কেস দেখেছিলাম, মানে I suppose most of you understand Bengali, মানে এখানে নন বেঙ্গলি অনেকে আছে না, মেজরিটি at least বুঝতে পারছে কিছু। The case was such that I mean a person, a husband, had filed a divorce against a wife. Now the husband had filed it under one of the grounds, it is called irretrievable breakdown of marriage. মানে বিয়েটা কোনো ফল্ট গ্রাউন্ড নেই, মানে আন্ডার হিন্দু ম্যারেজ অ্যাক্ট, মুসলিম ম্যারেজ অ্যাক্ট, পার্সি ম্যারেজ অ্যাক্টে বিচ্ছেদের অনেকগুলো গ্রাউন্ড দেওয়া থাকে, লাইক the wife is cruel or the husband is cruel, husband is basically drunkard or something like that, husband is insane, wife is insane, সেরকম কেস নয়। আলটিমেটলি এখন ইরিট্রিভেবল ব্রেকডাউন অফ ম্যারেজে সে মামলা করেছে, এবং মামলায় এটা ফাইনালি লিখেছে যে কারোর কোনো মানে আলাদা কোনো ফল্ট গ্রাউন্ড নেই, কিন্তু এক ছাদের তলে থাকা যাচ্ছে, সো গ্রান্ট আস ডাইভোর্স। আমি লোকটিকে তাকিয়ে আলটিমেটলি বললাম যে আপনি যে মামলা করেছেন এই গ্রাউন্ডে এত সহজে এই ধরনের জাজের কাছ থেকে আপনি কোনো ডাইভোর্স পাবেন, মানে মামলাটা আপনি হারবেন। আমি জানি না কেন আপনি করেছেন ব্যাপারটা। তখন উনি আমি বলছেন যে আপনাকে সোজা কথা বলি, যখন থেকে বিয়ে করেছি তারপর 7-8 বছর হয়ে গেছে, আফটার ম্যারেজ অলরেডি 7-8 years did elapse, and I thought that within this period of time বেশ কিছু জমিয়ে ঝগড়া হতে পারতো এত বছর ধরে, কিন্তু মাই ওয়াইফ ইজ সো গুড, যা বলি তাই শোনে, যা করতে বলি সেটাই করে, আমি যাতে খুশি হই তাতেই সে খুশি হয়, জীবনটা কেমন ম্যানেজ হয়ে গেল সব। হ্যাঁ, এখন যখন মামলা করেছি এবার তার আমার প্রতি যে বিরক্তি আসছে তার থেকে জমিয়ে ঝগড়া ইন দ্য লং রান হয়তো হলেও হতে পারে। দিস টাইপ অফ পিপল অলসো ফাইল সুটস ইন কোর্টস অফ ল। তো তাই জন্য আমি জিনিসটা ভুলভ্রান্তি হয়ে যাচ্ছিল বলে একটা এক্সাম্পল দিলাম। কোর্টে যে কত ধরনের মামলা হয় তার ঠিকানা নেই, এমন এমন মামলা হয়, ওয়াইফ গিয়ে মামলা করেছে যে আমি বিয়ের আগে মুখার্জি ছিলাম, আমি বিয়ের পরে চ্যাটার্জি হতে চাই, মানে চ্যাটার্জি হবো না, মানে আমার আগের যে সারনেম বাবা মা দেওয়া আমার পদবি সেটাই আমি মেনটেন করবো। তো যে জাজের পাল্লায় পড়েছিল সে জাজ বলেছিল এটা আপনি কি অ্যাফিডেভিট করে জিনিসটা করে দিতে পারতেন, এটার জন্য এরা মামলা করে কোর্টের এতটা সময় নষ্ট কি না করলেই চলছিল না, এরকম মামলাও দাঁড়ায়। আবার এখন এরকম অবস্থা হয়ে গেছে, উনি যে প্রশ্নটা করলেন ভেরি ইন্টারেস্টিং কোয়েশ্চেন, যে একটু মেয়েদের দিকে কি আইনটা টিল্টেড। বিপদটা কোথায়, যে আইন যদি একজনের দিকে টিল্টেড থাকে আরেকটা শ্রেণী পড়ে যায় বিপদে। মানে এই 498A প্রথম অবস্থায় করা হয়েছিল বধূ নির্যাতনের কথা ভেবে নেবে ভয়টা পেয়ে, যে মেয়েটা তো সাহায্যের কোনো জায়গা পায় না, তাই জন্য আইনটা ওদের দিকে টিল্টেড ছিল। এবারে ইদানিংকালে বধূ নির্যাতনের কিরকম মামলা হচ্ছে, একটা মেয়ে সে গিয়ে মামলা করেছে এই বলে যে তার যে শাশুড়ি মাদার ইন ল, সে তাকে বলেছে যে আমার তো ধীরে ধীরে বয়স হচ্ছে, এবারে বৃহস্পতিবার এসব ঘট টট সাজিয়ে বাড়িতে লক্ষ্মী পুজো হয়, তো এই লক্ষ্মী পুজোটা এখন থেকে তুমি ধরে নাও মা, কারণ আমার বয়স হচ্ছে, বাড়ির পুজোটা চলতেও থাকবে সাথে। ও ওই কারণে করে দিয়েছে মামলা করে দিয়েছে, বলে যে আমার বধূ নির্যাতন হচ্ছে, রূপকারীকে আমার ঠাকুর দেখে তার কোনো ভক্তি ভক্তি কিছু নেই, জোর জবরদস্তি কে ওখানে আলোচনা করবে, এসব করবে, সঙ্গ বাজাবে, আমার নিকুচি করে দিলাম আমি। So the thing is that court is such a respective place that you have to be prepared in terms of any respective suit that comes in mind. আমি খালি লয়ারদের কথা বলছি, আমরা এটা বলতে পারি না ভাই তোমার মামলাটাও বোগাস আর তোমার মানে ইস্যুটা আরো বোগাস, কিন্তু কিছু এন্ড অফ দ্য ডে মামলা হলে পরে তো সেটাকে ডিফেন্ড করতে হবে। আর আমরা আইন সবাইকে একটু তো শিখি থাকি দিই যাতে ভাই আর কারোর জন্য করে কাজ নেই, তুমি নিজে বিপদে পড়লে তুমি নিজেকে বাঁচাও, সেটা ইফ ইউ ক্যান ডু ইট দ্যাট ইজ এনাফ ফর ইউ। সো আই উইল ফিনিশ ইট অফ with when I calm down, everybody expects যে দু লাইন গানের কথা না বলে আমি চলে যাচ্ছি, so that is not fair. So I'll finish off with the fact that you all have come from different institutions, from different places, but to us you all are not our guests, but you all are our friends, and we have to stay in this particular house. If you consider the JIS University as a house, তো এই বাড়িতেই থাকতে হবে। তো I'm just bringing out few lines of this super hit film which has been released very recently, Gadar 2. So this is a line: ऊर्जा काले कावा तेरे मुझ विच खंड पावा, ले जा तू संदेशा मेरा मैं सदके जावा, बागों में फिर झूले पड़ गए पक गया मिठिया अमिया, ये छोटी सी जिंदगी ते रात लंबिया लंबिया, ओ घर आज परदेसी कि तेरी मेरी एक जिंदगी। थैंक्स ऑल ऑफ यू।
As a symbolic by that magnanimous uproar from the students, we all know we did have a very interesting, enlightening, as well as entertaining session. So thank you, sir. I need to confess that I was in my mind that I had already convinced myself that I will ask sir to stay back and sing a few lines of song, but instinctively sir catches hold of that and gets along with it. So an hour back, none of you know what your rights are. Do you know what your rights are now? Do you know that some rights have been guaranteed to you and that can help you to protect yourself? Yes or no? Yes. Right. So, let me quiz you a bit. Can anyone among you tell me what is the difference between a subject and a citizen? Can anyone among you tell me the difference between a subject and a citizen? So we all are citizens of India, but and we all had been subjects of some king and queen at some point of time. So what is the difference, according to you, between subjects and citizens? Anyone? Okay, let me not torment you any further, but you know that some rights have been there, framed for you, for your protection, and most importantly, you see all of us sitting here in this air-conditioned auditorium, all of us here are the privileged class. As sir was rightly speaking, go to the rural sectors of the country, they do not even know what laws are. They do not even know what laws are there to protect them. So as a responsible citizen of this country, it is our job, it is your job to percolate down to the darker depths of the society and bring light there. You might know, you have a mobile at your disposal, you might know, search how am I to redress the situation? But somebody at some rural sector of this country might not even know that. They might be so poor that they might not even access a mobile phone. So it is our duty, our collective duty, to ensure that none of us face injustice or is suffering from injustice. Thank you. Next, we have the Mitra ma'am from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Her lecture is scheduled on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Brace yourself, all the computer science students and the students of other department, because this is going to be a very important and interesting talk by the Mitra. Ma'am, if you can please come to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Devendra Ghosh, and I'm an assistant professor of computer science department. I have almost 10 years of experience in IT field. I have worked in companies like Tata Consultancy and Services and PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then I joined JIS University. So here also I'm working for more than 1 year. So my expertise is on artificial intelligence and machine learning. So how many students are there from computer science department? These, oh, majority of you. Anybody has taken specialization in AI/ML? Okay, quite a few. Okay, that's good. So why have you chosen this field, like AI/ML? Why have you chosen this? Any reason anyone can say? Anyone? Yeah, please.
Means the future is of AI. Like the chat GPT is coming and some chatbots are also introduced in the websites. So these are all a part of AI. So basically in future we are going for our robotics like Gen 5. So there is a less in the workload of human.
So when we're talking about future perspective, but AI, it was discovered in 19th century. So it is not a new thing. It was discovered in 19th century by a person called Alan Turing. Have you heard about his? Have you ever heard about this person, Alan Turing? Okay, he was famous for developing a game which was actually interacting with human, and it was learning the moves of the human, and it was behaving like that. It seems something like a science fiction stories that we have read. Like I was a big fan of science fictions when I was small. Even now also I watch Avengers, and I'm a big fan of Iron Man. So I think you all like to watch this science fiction stories. So actually, AI will help you to. You can make your own robot. You can actually make a machine which will talk to you, which will understand your sentiment, which will. You can see them. So you can actually what you can do with this, but what you can do with machine learning, you can actually develop a model where the model will be speaking to you. The model will be understanding your voice. It will be recognizing your speech and also your emotions, and it will be acting accordingly. Is that making sense to you? So you seen there was a robot called Sophia. You know about that? So who was Sophia? No, who is Sophia? That's a robot who got citizenship of Emirates, and it has traveled around the world. Any idea about because Sophia came to India also, came to West Bengal also, Kolkata, even I can say. Any idea about Sophia? How it looks like? It's a humanoid. It's a humanoid that actually can understand human language. It can actually think. It can feel all the emotions of a human. So all these things are actually comes under machine learning or artificial intelligence. Means a robot or a chatbot, it is actually taking your word, it is feeling your emotions, and it will react accordingly. So these things, when we are implementing, we are actually developing a easier life for us. Now, there is one example of voice recognition system. Can anybody say the name of it? Voice recognition system. Voice assistance. Alexa. Alexa. Hey Siri, can you play the song? Can you play the song according to your mood? So what is that? That is also an example of AI. It was developed by using voice recognition system. It was developed using speech recognition system. You know what happened when it was developed? It was able to understand only the language and the accent of people of USA. It was not able to understand accent of Asian country people because we have this mother tongue influence. So when we are speaking, so our accent is quite different from that of USA. So it was not getting popular here. Then what happened? The data set was enlarged. It was open to the world. So everybody could contribute their own words. So once the contribution started increasing and when the data set started increasing, Siri was able to recognize accent and voice of various people. And you know, the industry is actually looking for people now on data science and AI. That's a huge domain where people are actually accepting. And I hope there are so many companies. Recently, fourth year pass out students, some of them are recruited in Amazon, one of them are recruited in E&Y. They are actually working completely on AI tools. One of our students, Krishnendu, he was recruited in Amazon as well as in E&Y, but he chose to pursue in E&Y. His main thing was he was an excellent in AI. He has developed so many things. We have worked together. We have some patentable work where we are using face recognition systems. Face recognition means if you're standing in front of a door, automatically your facial image will be captured and it will be classified like if you are a harmful person or if you are a friendly person. If your name or your face is already present in the data set of that person, then you are a familiar person. But depending on your face, sometimes robbery happens, sometimes a person with bad intention can come. He may carry some kind of instrument like a knife or gun. All these things will be recognized and accordingly he will be classified if he is a safe person to get entry inside or not. This kind of work you can do with AI very easily. I think those who have selected AI, you will be having your course starting from next year because first year it's very generalized course. From second year it will be started. So that is a fantastic work. Another example I can give. That work was also done by one of our students, Abdul and Rushda. They are currently in fourth year student. That was accepted in a conference, Infocom. Infocom happens in Kolkata. This last year it was there in December. So even for their work also I was mentoring their work. It was a voice controlled robot. Means you will be just having a mobile. You just need an access of Android phone. And if you give an instruction like go straight, the robot will be going straight. And if there is any kind of obstruction, it will automatically take the image and it will send back to you. It was developed on Android Arduino. So it was not a very difficult coding, but the thing is like you have to be very innovative. You have to read science fictions and you have to have confidence on yourself. Like, okay, I can develop this kind of thing. I can develop this kind of robot. My robot will also work like this. Because generally my genre is I am working for people who are Divyangan, I mean who cannot see, who cannot walk properly, or who are mentally challenged. I'm working on people for those. So, you know, their life is quite difficult. Like you are able to sit, you are able to come inside, you are able to walk. But if you need water, you can easily go and get some water for yourself. But think about a person who is not able to walk. It is so hard, it is so difficult for them. They will actually struggle to get a single water. And if you have a voice controlled robot who will actually doing all this work for you, think about that person. The life will be so much easier. You will just give an instruction and go straight. You identify the place where water is available and you get me a glass of water. And the robot is able to, execute each and every instructions. The set of instruction that you have given, you go straight and then you will get a place where you will get water. It will automatically identify the device from where the water it can take, and then it will take a glass and it will fill it and it will bring it to you. So this kind of work, I hope you also will be doing with me. And let me give you a brief idea about what is AIML. As you can see in the slide, so you can see it has a huge application area, right from medical, space, then earth science, everywhere. You can actually apply it, and we did all these things. Decision making, basically, one more thing I want to say, mathematics is very important for AI. It is, the entire on statistics. So probability and statistics as well as permutation combination. Both the things are very important. You have to be very good with mathematics so that you can pursue all these lines. So the thing is decision making, prediction model. We say it's prediction. We are predicting. Like we say now, we get this kind of notifications in our mobile. Like if it is raining, will it be sunny after 5 days? We make this kind of predictions. We actually see in Google and we see this kind of weather forecasting. So predictions and decision making are a part of AI. It is not a theory because in 19th century, Alan Turing first started with AI. Then in World War II, it was a boom. Both German army as well as American army, they were developing new technologies and most of them were using AI, image processing and machine learning to actually perform their work because science was at their peak during World War II. Data science is a part of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a superset. You know superset? Artificial intelligence is a superset. Subset is machine learning and deep learning is again a subset of machine learning. So the bigger picture is artificial intelligence that we see. And everything comes under its umbrella. Then we get machine learning and inside it. This is the image I was talking about. This is the Venn diagram. Can you see? What are the genres included? Linguistic, NLP, natural language processing that I was talking about. You know, before when a poet used to translate their poem, it used to be so boring. Have you read Gitanjali, anyone? It is good, undoubtedly, it's best. But you know, if you read any poem of Rabindranath Tagore in Bengali, it will give a more impact. Comparatively, when you read Gitanjali, you will feel like there is somewhere a mismatch. Like this person, when he is writing in Bengali, I can connect so much. Even his small words, they are so impactful. But in English, when you are reading it, you find it somewhere it is disconnected. But now, by using NLP, as it is recording your emotion, so the translations are much better compared to the previous time. Vision as in computer vision. Computer vision, we can check criminal psychology of a person. That's I was talking about. By taking the image, by taking the facial expression, you can actually say, you can actually think about what kind of person that he is. If he is having a criminal, because you know, in your face there are 29 points. These are like, you know, what do you say, from your eyelash to your this and your ears, everything. They're unique to each other. We all look same, no? We have two eyes, one nose, all same. But you know, there are certain features which are different from one person to another. So how this difference is done? This difference is based on this 29 points. That is unique for each and every person. And if you have a criminal psychology, automatically your eyes, your facial expressions will change. You will not be the same person. If you are in a happy mood, your facial expressions will be different. And if you are in an angry mood and if you have something inside you, like, I want to kill this person, I'm not liking this person, automatically your facial expressions will change. That can be understood, that can be recorded by machine learning. Data preparation, statistics. As I said, statistics is a very important part of machine learning. So this was the history of AI/ML, how it started. You know, this is actually like we say Chandrayaan. You know about that of ISRO, what it did. It was actually sending a robot. It was identifying the objects that are not classified. Like when you see yourself, see, this is a room. You know, this is a known environment. You know the temperature is bit low because ACs are going. You know these are the chairs. You know the color of the chairs. How you know? You have learned it. Suppose a person who came here who have no idea, absolutely no idea about AC, how that person will react? He has no previous knowledge. He will learn. Actually, machine learning or AI, they actually focuses on this kind of learning. They are learning day by day. It's learning. So when it went there, everything was new for it. That robot encountered everything new. But slowly, it was learning each and everything. And it was classifying. Like, okay, this thing is quite familiar to Earth, but these are completely new. And it was also collecting samples. So, see, our life has become so easy with robots. So, why AI? Artificial Neural Network. We say ANN. Artificial neural network means our brains are controlled by our brains are controlled by what? Neurons. What are neurons doing? They are actually carrying the signals. Suppose I'm standing here and somebody just patted me. The signals will be transferred to my brain, and my brain will actually record it, what kind of touch it was. Then it will think, like, is it a hitting, that person is beating me, or he just patted me? He will classify that, and finally my reaction will come. Entirely this thing when we are doing in a machine, we call it ANN, artificial neural network, where it is actually taking some signal and it is thinking that we will be learning later. It's basically using some functions, activation function as we say, and then it is giving some kind of output, like why this reaction is happening. It's not the straight one. You have done coding on Java, Python, I guess, who are from ICSE or CBSE board. I think you have done all those codes. So what happened? You give an input, you get an output. It's all a linear thing. But now you will get something non-linear. Like what happens with us? We get some input and straight away we don't get an output. We don't give an output. We think why that person has said or something like that, and then only we give an output. So this kind of things are very common in AI. Okay, and there was another thing called reinforcement learning that is basically used in a kind of games. Have anybody developed any game in their schools? Any kind of game like tic-tac-toe or snake ladder? You did. So how the game was learning? How you have developed it? Sorry? Sorry? You were controlling the game. And how? So it was quite a straightforward thing, right? It was a game, it was a tic-tac-toe game, and you were controlling through some, what kind of game you developed? Tic-tac-toe?
Was kind of obstacle based.
Obstacle.
My character was running like kind of Subway Surfer.
Subway Surfer. And how you did it? You used what
I
kind
used the platform Unity.
Unity. And any language?
C.
With C only you developed.
Yes.
So that's a straightforward game. You had some joystick for controlling that?
By the keyboard.
By the keyboard only. Okay, but you know when you're developing a game with AI, it will learn through reinforcement. What is reinforcement? If you do something right, you get a positive reinforcement, means you get a reward. And if you're doing something wrong, you get a negative reinforcement. That is, you get punished. Machine will learn like that. Like what happens for a kid when it is doing something. He don't know if he is doing something correct or incorrect. What will happen? He will do something and he will look for the expression of their parents. Like what kind of work I have done. If the parents are giving chocolate or hugging and saying, okay, you have done something good, then only he will realize like, okay, I have done something good. So this kind of learnings are called reinforcement learning. This is what exactly happens when we develop a game using AI. The opponent is always our computer. So according to our moves, you see in the level 1 or level 2, you are always winning. Because during that time, the computer is judging your moves. And then it is making a strategy how to counter those moves. So that is the way it is developing its strategy for higher levels. So it is very difficult to beat them in the higher level. This kind of games are actually developed using AI. Okay, you sit down. Genomics, another very important part, that is DNA sequencing. We can do it easily with machine learning. Huge amount of data are there. which will help you to predict what kind of genes are good gene and bad gene. Bad gene means all the diseases that we get are actually inherited. We inherit some kind of diseases from our parents, like diabetes and high BP. So it will help. Machine learning actually helps to identify those genes, good gene and bad gene, and we can do genomics. Engineering is there, so it will be easily the prediction will be quite easy using this kind of technology. Okay, I forgot to mention about Tom Mitchell. Tom Mitchell is like a pioneer of pattern recognition and machine learning. He did a lot of research on them, and he has many algorithms with him. These are certain things when we encounter AI, like spam mails. We automatically in Gmail, you will see like spam mails are already filtered. How this filtering is done? It's based on Bayes theorem. Bayes you have learned in probability, conditional probability. You learned Bayes theorem. This kind of classifications are basically done using Bayes theorem. Handwriting recognition. Handwriting recognition or pattern recognition again comes under AIML. And then any kind of games that we develop. Here also we are using AI. Let's not get deep into this. These are certain subjects that you have to cover. These are basically your chapters in your syllabus. These are the fields where you can actually apply AIML. Cybersecurity, automobile. You know, you have heard about Tesla cars? You know about Elon Musk? So what are those kind of cars? Self-driving cars. They are made with what? Okay, you know about this image recognition process of how, you know about this war between Ukraine and Russia? Russia was actually dropping bombs in Ukraine, and it was dropping the bombs at exact location with so much precision. It was almost like 100% precision. How it was done, how it was actually recognizing those images by a self-driving, by a self-driven, I think, car or some aeroplane was used. Yeah, fighter aeroplane was used. So how it was done? Again, by image processing and AI. So you can see the industry is growing. It is growing a lot. And these are the companies who are major recruiters of AI and data science professionals. So I hope you had a picture about what is AI. You understood what is AI, right? Basically, what are the applications area, and if you actually want to pursue here, you have got a lot of practical work to do. You have to develop a robot, you have to develop some speech recognizing device, and that can be easily commercialized also. So that's it from my side. I hope to see you soon in classes. Okay, happy learning. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am, for the enlightening speech. I hope all of you have got a fair bit of idea about what artificial intelligence and machine learning is. I know you're all students of computer science engineering. Most of you are from computer science and engineering, and most of you had a rudimentary idea. It is with like a renewed version of ma'am, you have got a very concrete idea now. Now this is something that you'll be learning in the next 4 years. Those of you who have like signed up for AIML, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So do you have any questions? Any questions for ma'am? Any questions? No questions? Okay, fine. So now let me come to the next speech for like scheduled for today. Now your induction program started on 16th August, right? And today is 22nd August. Most of you, if not all of you, are present in the Telegram group. Now there are several students who had asked like, who is this guy called Indra Banerjee, and who and how does he get all the information quite in advance? So since there is no other host today, I am your host. So I am that guy in Enrollment Manager giving you the schedule for every day. I am the guy giving like pandering to all your questions. So I have been called many things. I have been called a staff of university. I have been called Bhaiya. I have been called like a senior student. I have been called a first year student. And I have also like people have also been curious as to what the origin of this person is. So today is the grand day when you put a face to that name. So I am Indral Banerjee, and the next session is for myself. Quite fortunately and unfortunately, that I'm introducing myself. So in the classes that have to come, all the departments without exception would be meeting me because I'll be taking your English classes. Now, today's talk, today's talk is scheduled on communicative and communicative English and a workshop on communication. Now, I would not go to the technical aspect of what communication is. You and I all know what communication is. But standing here in the auditorium, I feel like I need to give a better pertinent example. Communication is like that back door of the auditorium, which is open. Students can go in, go out and come in. That means whatever you are trying to communicate, rest assured you cannot communicate. That is the basic premise of communication. Because words, meanings are arbitrarily fixed. Now, why is communication important? Okay, so how many of you know about Hrithik Roshan? Okay. And how many of you know Hrithik's first movie? What is the first movie? Exactly. So you see, in the movie, the title itself, Kahuna Pyar to hai, lekin कहना पड़ता है, right? So this is what precisely is communication. No matter whatever gifts you have, intellectual, or whatever ambitions you have, academic ambitions, you need to communicate it. And how do we communicate it? By the use of language. Now, language is a very dangerous ball game. Why? Why? First, because we are all born into a language. How? Language is a cage that entraps us. How are we all born into a language? How are we all born into the language?
There are different religions, so we follow that language. Like if a Bengali
It's not about religion per se, it's about the ethnicities, it's about the different spheres, different personalities, different sectors, different places, and all of them have their own distinctive language. Now, why I say we are born into a language? Now, this is the example that I often give in my class. I'm sure I will repeat this example when you're coming to my class again. Somarendra here is like one of the seniors you have. You can ask him. I quite ask this question: how do we fix meanings? How do we fix meaning? So, if I ask you what is a cat? What is a cat? What? Please be a bit louder. What cat is midnight? What? What is a cat? An animal, right? Then how many animals do we have in this world? We are all animals, including human beings. We are social animals. Others are not so social. Cats definitely are not. Then how do we identify or how do we know what a cat is? What is a cat? Suppose you do not have a picture for a cat. How will you make someone understand what is a cat? Well, please be a bit louder. By its looks. I'm what did I say? You do not have a picture. Suppose there is no picture of cats available. So you are living in the post-apocalyptic area where everything has been dismantled, but you need to make someone understand what a cat is. How will you do that? By its voice? Meow? Okay. Have you ever heard of peacock cawing? You will be surprised to know when a peacock caws, the sound it's like mimicking a cat. Then how? See, any word, mostly the nouns, they have two components. One is the sound of it, like the cat is called a cat, and there is a pictorial representation of it, like 4 legs, whiskers, a tail. But these are like very common to a tiger as well. These are common to a dog as well, right? So, meaning is produced by arbitrariness. Linguistically, if I speak, a cat is a cat because it is not a dog. Then what a dog is? A dog is a dog because it is not a tiger. Then what is a tiger? A tiger is a tiger because it is not a lion. So no matter whatever you are trying to prove, it will have to go through all the circle, like the circle of all the things known to human beings. And at the end of the circle, which is quite impossible to reach, you get to know about the subject which is called the cat. So meaning is produced by difference and difference. Difference means a cat is a cat because it is not a dog, it is difference. What is difference? That it can never be fixed. The cycle will go on and on and on, like a song. So meaning is produced by difference and difference. Now this is the reason why. This is the reason particularly why you cannot communicate exactly. Because all the meanings are arbitrary. Suppose you choose yourself to Hrithik Roshan. And you one day say that, okay, today I will say to the world, I'll tell that I am in love with someone. But how can you be assured that that love will not be recognized as a form of molestation? That can be a form of sexual harassment as well. I cannot go and tell a random person in the street, okay, I love you, I love you. We cannot do that, right? There's a social standard, there's a social stigma, most importantly, the communication. But then you go to a dating app, and there you go and say after a few, like, people ask, like, what, A for M, ASL, like, what is your age, what is your sex, and like so on and so forth. And there you say that after a few brief introductory remarks, if you say that, what? No, I am like developing feelings for you. You need to be a bit sophisticated as well. You cannot be just like brazen, like, oh, I have fallen head over heels for you. There it is accepted. On the roads and the streets, it is not acceptable. This is what communication is. Communication is always like a food chain. Whatever ideas that you are trying to propagate, it gets lost in the transition. So the bigger the circle, the lesser you get to understand. I'll give you a more pertinent example. Take, for example, the student sitting at the corner of the last row. I'm sure they cannot hear anything. No, I have not asked you to stand. They cannot understand anything because sound propagating at the end, the speaker is not working that well, they're not being able to hear. So instead, okay, I need a mobile, I need a screen. So that communication is coming to me, like, okay, that student is not being able to hear. So every message that you're trying to propagate, trying to communicate, it gets lost in the transition. Okay. So the next aspect. How many of you are in the habit of writing poems and stories? I mean for yourself, not for the other person. Okay, 2, 3, okay, 4, right, very good. Any more? I'm talking about 5, 6, okay. Now tell me 7, 8, okay, very good. I'm getting a creative batch of students. So, like, what do you write? Like, do you write poems or do you like stories? What do you write? Poetry. Shairi. Shairi, okay, 1. There are other. What do you write? Stories. Poems, stories, what you? Stories. Okay, sit down. Now, the aspect is like, why I'm telling you is that, like, when you're writing a shairi, when you're writing a poem, when you're writing a story, you often are in the propensity to tell the same thing in a roundabout way. Suppose you want to say someone that I love you, you do not say that I love you, you say that you are the moon of my life. Isn't it? Then why is this propensity to turn and twist the words that we use? propensity? Exactly. First is the freedom to write. The government has not taxed you yet for writing. So you can write. Obviously, you cannot write anything which is insulting to someone. You can write like anything, but not insulting someone. Then why do we write it in a roundabout way? Can you tell me?
To make that more interesting.
To make it more interesting, to make it more ornamental, to make it more enhanced. Then can we come to this conclusion that language is the art of concealing thoughts? Language, any language that we use ornamentally, is the art of concealing thoughts. You go and tell someone that you are the moon of my life, that person would think that what I like, do I shine at night and I'm like invisible in day? No, we do not take it literally, right? We know what that person is trying to communicate to us. So, language is the art of concealing thought. You need to propagate your message in a way that the message is communicated and the person understands and there is a feedback generated. Right? So then, like, what can be the technical definition for communication? Then what can be, like, can you guess the technical definition of communication? Anyone? What is communication then? Yes, go ahead. Exactly. Sit down. Does anyone want to add to that? Yes, sure, go ahead. Exchange of the expression. Very good. So it's an expression of thought. That means the ideas originate from someone in a communication cycle. That someone is called the sender. If it is an exchange, there has to be a receiver. But before there is a receiver, it needs to go through a medium. Right? So already you have three aspects: a sender, a medium, and a receiver. Now, if it is an exchange, the idea should come from the sender as well as from the receiver, right? Isn't it so? So the sender will tell something, communicate something, put it in the medium, it will be received by the receiver, understood by the receiver, and a feedback is generated. Now the communication channel consists of these 5-6 aspects. The sender encoding in a language, language that is perceptible, comprehensible to the receiver as well. Suppose now you talk to me in any language other than say Hindi, Bengali or English, I will not be able to understand. Suppose there is a boy who just came in the auditorium, he was wearing like a German t-shirt and he starts to talk to me in German. I would have no idea what the boy is saying apart from Danke, because Danke in German means thank you. That's only knowledge of German I have. So, sender encoding in a language comprehensible by both the sender and the receiver, putting it to the medium. The medium here is air because it is helping the words to propagate. The receiver receiving it, decoding it, understanding it, and generating a feedback. This is the entire cycle of communication. Now, what do we say? Like, can we really say that we stop communicating? No. One thing you need to be aware of: we are always almost communicating. You are always almost the sender. Once again, if I go back to the front rows and the last rows, there are some students like looking here and there, like this room is the confinement for them. So to them, the communication is that, oh sir, please let us go. I need to go and like enjoy something out of the class. I'm not being able to like sit here. But they do not know consciously that they are communicating something. But they are. Primarily because they did not know who the receiver would be. In this case, the receiver is me because I have a total comprehension of this space that I am inhabiting, because I can see all of you very distantly. To some people who are interested, trying to understand what I'm trying to see, they are communicating that, oh, like, is this the thing with communication? So we are always almost communicating. Now, is this true that only humans can communicate? No? Then how do others animal or anything communicate? By? By body language, right? Very right. Anything else?
By sound.
By sounds. The thing is that everything in this world is based on the aspect of communication. Why are flowers so colorful? Why are flowers so colorful? Exactly, to attract insects for? Exactly, for pollination. If the flowers would not have been so colorful, insects would not have been attracted by them. Right? Isn't this a form of communication? This is a form of communication on which the very existence of that species depends. Because if there is no pollination, the line of the plant will not be propagated. So for that, communication is there in the flowers, in the colors of the flowers. For example, like about a cat. It is growling. That means you know the cat is not very satisfied now, it is angry. A dog wagging its tail. You know that the dog is satisfied, is happy to be like around you, it's comfortable around you. Like if the dog is judging you, you know like it is standing still looking into his eyes. Like how many of you have seen that if you're looking into the eyes of a dog, it gets agitated. Animals, they cannot tolerate something looking into their eyes because they think that they are challenging. Look, like if you go to a turtle or a tortoise, place some dark object in front of it. It will immediately try to attack the dark object because to them, the dark object signifies predator. They'll replace the same object with a colorful or a white surface. They will not attack the same object. Because somewhere deep down, wired in their brain, there is something that if it's a dark object, it is a predator. So communication is present almost always everywhere. And communication, most importantly, is never stopped. Advertently, inadvertently, you are always communicating. It depends on the receiver. Suppose you are going in a bus, I'll give you a more pertinent example which you will be able to understand. You're going in a bus, somebody likes you. He or she keeps staring at you. Isn't this a form of communication? I think like none of you have ever gone in a bus. Have you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. When you like with that mild response, you meant to tell me, sir, the buses are so overcrowded these days that there's no respite of liking someone. It's just surviving in the bus or getting down at the destined bus stop. Right? That's true. That's always true. So technically, this is what communication is. Now, where do people fail? Why is it so important to understand what communication is and where we are failing? Particularly because we are being asked to communicate in a language that we do not know, that is foreign to us. In this respect, in this perspective, that is English. English, as you know, has been given to us by colonization. The British came to us, ruled us for 190 years. They were very clever. They knew that if we need to subjugate them, we need to implant our language into them. And that is, they gave us our language. Like there is something, historically, there is something called Macaulay's Minute, where Macaulay said, like a British educator, he said that, oh, he thinks they do not know the language. They have never advanced. They do not see the light of enlightenment. So we need to give them the language, we need to educate them, and we need to bring them at par with us. But his real intention was to create clerks for British officers. Right? So that is how we got the language. We got the language of English. Now, after we got the language, we are very happy. Oh, we are like seeking a new language. We are learning this. Now, how many of you have gone to Park Street? 25th December? Bow Barracks? Anyways, like Park Street is so accessible to you, all of us now, right? We go to Oxford bookstore, like flip the pages of new books, have coffees there. There are good restaurants all around. But at one point of time, it was written at the beginning of Park Street, like dogs and Indians are not allowed. Dogs and Indians are not allowed. Park Street was an exclusively British settlement. But we are so very happy with that same language. And now, irrespective of what you do, you have been asked to learn that language, communicate in that language. So much so that if you are a student of English medium like background, you have been fined. You have been imposed a fine if you are like talking vernacular languages. Isn't it so? Yeah. Right. How many of you have had that harrowing experience? Me too. So, and like as a student, I did not understand. Like, obviously, the goal is to make us speak in English, to be fluent in English. But why is that fine? What is so monetary about not speaking in a language that is foreign to us? Can we dare to go to England and say that, like, you need to speak in Bengali or Hindi? They would not. But as a colonial state, we have been asked to learn this language, write in this language. Now let me give you like another funny example. Suppose you are dating someone. You go in, and instead of saying, hey, how are you? You say like, namaskar, like, how are you doing? Immediately your prospect is destroyed. Isn't it so? Like, if you are speaking English, you have like an added leverage. Like, oh, this guy or girlfriend is like very fluent in English. He or she is very smart. Have you judged along these lines any day? Now there is no yes or no, sir. Yes, right? Yes, okay. Some of you are honest then. So, being a colonial subject, we have this tendency to share the predilection that if someone is speaking in this foreign language, that is English, then they are more educated, smarter, more competent than us. There is particularly no connection. I have had like contact with scholars who are very poor in their English speaking or writing skills, but they are excellent scholars. They are like experts in their fields. But fortunately or unfortunately, the regulatory bodies have decided to make English a like mandatory language, at least for the first semester. It's because English is the language that connects the world. The language that connects the world is English. So suppose you are talking in English, a person in France, a person in Germany, a person in Switzerland, a person in Pakistan, a person in Sri Lanka can understand you. By the way, do not go to France and try to speak in French. Why? Because they are very sensitive about their language. And the moment you pronounce it wrong, they will rectify it and only then they will let you go. Otherwise, they will keep on rectifying you. Because they are very sensitive about their culture and their language. Now coming to that, there is also a French course which runs in the university. If you want, you can sign up for the course. There is a fee for the course. It's an online course, but you will get a certificate. And if you want, you can also like sign up for the diploma, and you will get a certificate recognized by the French government. So that information will be like communicated to all the departments. And if any one of you is interested, if there is like a satisfactory number of students who have signed up for the course, we will initiate the course once again. There is already a course that is running. Okay. So this is like communication. Now, why is communication becoming so very important? Why is communication becoming so very important? A few moments back, you were all listening to like artificial intelligence and machine learning, so on and so forth. The world is going into like into the grasp of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the future. Sooner or later, we'll all be supplanted by the machines. All of these anxieties are there, if not true. Now, tell me one thing. In an age where there is like Siri, where there is like Alexa, where there is like ChatGPT, I have come across people who were depressed and they started talking to the machine. How many of you have done that? One. Okay, there are a few. So, four. You see, like a machine which is devoid of any emotion, people are finding solace in talking to that machine. Can you imagine the future? Any dissonance? We are humans, we have different emotional stabilities and thereby different emotional wavelengths. So any dissonance in the future, there might be a predilection that will go and talk to the machine, because the machine is not there to judge us. The machine will suit themselves accordingly to respond to us. So if there is a strategy in a game that can like improvise on the moves that you are making, the same strategy can be used to draw up a profile sketch of your mind and give your response accordingly. Have you thought about it? If there is an algorithm which can work on the strategy that you are playing with, there is similarly an algorithm where it can draw your mental profile and can generate response accordingly. When ChatGPT or artificial intelligence became increasingly popular, there is one project running in a foreign university where they're trying to shape or design algorithm that mimic or resemble the departed, that is the dead souls. So at one point of time in the future, you will have a program which can respond like the departed souls. Suppose if I've lost my father and I'm like that algorithm has like fixed like a personality like my father, I talk to that machine and the machine will respond like a father to me, like my father. So sooner or later, the whole communication would be out of the range of experientiality that we have, and it will percolate into the realms of the machine. Let me give you another example. How many of you have watched Interstellar? Nolan movies. Okay. But still, lack in numbers. I expected like many more to watch. Like, okay, there is another hand. Okay, thank you. Now, Nolan made a movie where there is like an astronaut who is in space trying to save the world. Right. That astronaut had a very advanced robot with it. Do you like remember like the three pillar robot? It can run, it can do calculation, it can do basically everything. But the narrative arc is premised on one simple communication. Have you noticed this? That Morse code at the end, where the astronaut is communicating from some other sphere to his daughter in Earth. Isn't that a form of communication? It is a form of communication without using any language. It is using a military code. Morse code is used for military transmission of messages. So my point is that no matter how advanced are we in our civilizations with the machines, it will obviously boil down to that emotional touch that we have. No matter you can talk to Alexa, you can talk to Siri, you can talk to anyone, you can talk to ChatGPT, but at the end of the day, you will still need a person to talk to. Do you agree with me on this? Right. And thereby dating sites are still that popular. Anyways, can you give me examples where like normal human to human interactions have been transformed into human to machine interactions? Normal human to human interactions have been subsumed or substituted by human to machine interactions. Examples from your real life?
How to make a aloo kasat.
Yes, very good. Like propagation of knowledge at one point of time, we were very reliant on our seniors, on our suppose if it is my mother, I ask my mother how to cook chicken or how to cook aloo paratha for that matter. But now, if there is any doubt, Google. And there are like thousands of pages which tells you how to make aloo paratha. It's very right, because knowledge propagation has been substituted from person to machine to person. Nowadays, like students would come to the class, they would say that, oh, the classes are dispensable. Because anyway, like, there is a lecture on YouTube that guides us how to do the thing. Then my question is, if it is so very easy for all of us to do that, why there wasn't a very tectonic shift after the COVID-19 pandemic? Why do we still have classrooms and teachers and students in the classroom? Why are companies bringing back all their employees into the physical mode of work? So that human touch is very important. What other examples like human to human interaction which have been substituted by human to machine interaction? Any other examples? AI songs. Okay, so like someone is giving an example like AI songs. Like a few days back, like there's a like rapper who is like competing himself against an AI, and unfortunately or fortunately the AI wins because like the like the entire gamut of experiences available to the AI. What I find more interesting, for example, if you are buying a ticket, earlier you used to go and tell that okay, দাদা আমার এই জায়গায় একটা টিকিট দরকার. Now if you're going by a metro, you have a metro card, right? Just need to press the card, go into the metro, and at the exit you need to press the card again. Very minor change, but nonetheless a very significant change. This is a prelude to other things that are there to come. If Meta is successful in creating this virtual world, maybe all of us will be living in the virtual world. Have you like understood what would happen if we are? How would you communicate? Suppose there is like an avatar kind reality. You go into a machine, you sleep there, and there is like uploaded self of you in some other world. So suppose you are sleeping in Earth and you are waking up in Mars, and you are exploring the red planet. Maybe this seems impossible to you, to us today, but sooner or later this is the reality. Because as I was telling in my class yesterday, like we are on the brink, on the precipice of extinction. So we need to find something that continues our line. And this is it. But I am digressing. The important thing is that communication is very important in the perspective of day-to-day life. If we are not communicating, we are getting depressed, is not the right word, but we are not being able to connect to the world. And how do we connect with the world? Through language. So, in the perspective of your academics, it is very important that you learn language, not the computer language, not C or Java or C++. I'm talking about language that is English, Bengali, Hindi, or any other language, so that you can communicate. Because if you're writing a research article, if you do not know how to write it in English, your article will be discarded. So you will have to have a functional idea of what the language is, how to write in that language, how to communicate in that language. Now, so some of you might be telling me like, well, we can use like this AI robots or like chatbots or like ChatGPT like things to write things. But there are software which are coming up which can track and detect if you have copied from AI. The success rate now stands at 70%. They are developing more like stricter rules to detect write-ups from AI. And AI at this stage is not that developed to give you newer things. AI can give you a recombination of all the things that had existed, but it cannot create something new. For all of you who are writers, like poets and like shairi writers or like short story writer, it cannot give you a short story yet. It can give you a short story, but it will be like along the old lines. It cannot think something new. It has not been that advanced yet. So my suggestion, this brief lecture on communication would be to rather advise you and instruct you that have a functional idea of the language, and in the perspective of your academics, it should be English, because without English, you would not be able to peruse your books, to write it in the answer, like to write your answers in the examinations, as well as to produce like other research articles in the future when you're going for your higher academics. So with this, I'll bring my speech to a conclusion. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay. No questions? So thank you all. Thank you everyone. Now I would like to request Dr. Kollani Mitru from the Department of Education to deliver the vote of thanks today. We are at the fag end of our schedule today. And once again at 7 o'clock today, I'll give you the schedule for tomorrow. And this time you'll have a clear idea who Indranil Banerjee is and why is he doing these things. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, dear all students. First of all, I, Dr. Kolani Mitru, ladies and notice you. I am Dr. Kolani Mitru from Education Department, JIS University. I feel incredibly honored and privileged to have been allowed to extend the vote of thanks in this induction program. So first of all, thanks to our eminent speaker. They nicely explained, that is our Rakesh Dubedhar said, Dean of Education and Dean of Law and Management, socio-cultural awareness. He explained socio-cultural awareness and legal aids. Shobhik sir, who elaborately explained the constitutional law. There's different equality, different articles, and Devamitra madam, who explained about the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So all of these very, very important in current scenario. Now in our society, artificial intelligence and legal article, different types of article, legal constitutional law, that's very, very important and relevant. So finally, my thanks to Indranil sir. He is very, very cooperative, young, energetic, and nicely and well organized all the induction program. That is the from 16 to 29. That's a long journey. From beginning to today. See, he's enormously, what I say, effort. Just imagine, not imagine. Totally, this program, in his own hand, he operated this, he organized this. So awesome. Thanks to sir. And the today's the lecture of the sir, the lecture which is the relevant, that is the communication skill. It is very, very important in modern time, communication skill, and especially English, which is essential for everybody in our future, any job or any you will go to the foreign country in West Bengal or any others. Without English, you cannot exist. So, thanks to Indranil sir to elaborately explain the necessity of communication skill. So thanks every students, newcomer students, welcome to you. We are so happy to choose this university, JIS University, for your future development, future learning. So thanks to all of you, and thanks to every speaker, thanks to Indranil sir, thanks to all.
So with this, we have the formal conclusion of today's session. You will be informed about tomorrow's session in the Telegram group. I hope all of you have joined the Telegram group. There is a session tomorrow as well. It continues till 29th. But the updates that you are getting, it's on a day-to-day basis. And thank you all for coming. And once again, thank you all for choosing this university, which will be your home. You will see that it is not your second home. It will rather go on to become your first home. So now if you are like bored and if you're like reclining in your chair yawning, 2 years down the line, you will find that, okay, like students are still feeling the same, but we know that things are different. So anyways, thank you. All of you can leave and have your food. Thank you, everyone. All of you can leave now. First row by one row. Please sit down row by row. Please. The first row, please leave. Second row. Third row.
হলো রেজিস্টার করে নিও। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ চল বাড়ি যাবো। আরে পেছন কাজটা কি চলছে লাইভ ছিল এদিন পরে বাংলায় কথা বলবি এখন তো একটা অব্দি থাকা সেখানে ক্লাস আরে তাকে ডাকছি কি ওখানে বসে থেকে যাবে আসছে
প্র্যাকটিস তোমায় করতে হবে আমি দেখাতে পারি শিখতে তোমাকে হ্যাঁ গরমকালটা তো ফেভারিট ক্লাস লিফটটা লিফট ছাড়াও একে ফোন কর না দেবাঞ্জনের নাম্বার
ছাড়ুন তো চলুন আগের দিন এই দিয়ে বন্ধ করে এক কেস হয়ে গেছে।
এখানে কি চলছে?
আরে আগের দিন এটা আমাকে স্যার বললো অফ করে দিতে, অফ করে দিয়েছি এসে
হ্যাঁ বলছি হয়ে গেছে প্রোগ্রামটা, তো ল্যাপটপটা এখানে এসে সিস্টেমটা অফ করতে হবে। ঠিক আছে থেকে পাঠিয়ে দেবো। হ্যাঁ চলে গেছে সবাই, খালি হয়ে গেছে পুরো। হ্যাঁ চলো ক্লাস নিয়ে তোমার ইয়ে
হ্যাঁ ক্লাস
ভিডিও করে ফেলেছে এর মধ্যে।
সব যায়নি আরো যাবে
ঠিক আছে অন্যদের যেগুলো তুলি সেগুলো পাঠিয়ে দিবি, অন্যদেরকে পাঠিয়ে দেবো ভিডিও।
দুটো বন্ধ তুলেছি, সৌভিক স্যারকে পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছি,
বাহ, তাহলে
দেবিদ্রাকে পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছি, কোনের ক্লাসে ভালো ছিল।
ব্যাস কোনো অসুবিধা নেই।
সেই চ্যান্সেলরের স্ক্রিপ্ট
ওই ওটার উপরে সাউন্ড সিস্টেম।
অ্যাডমিনের নাম